Hello everyone, I'm just taking a little break. It's been a busy year in the workshop. I came to visit my good friend Anthony at his Nerf toy shop, and we've been having a great time. He asked me if I do a little cameo. He's doing a little Christmas gift roundup for boys and girls all over the place to put in their orders to me. So his list has my full endorsement, so I'm going to pass it over to that little elf right now. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks, Santa. And hey, Nerf friends, I see all of you on the nice list out there. I wanted to do a bit of a Christmas roundup, so I put on this really unflattering elf suit that fit pretty well pre-COVID, and I'm going to talk to you and do kind of a top 10 list. Kind of. It's really tough to narrow it down. But you know what? This list is going to focus mostly on what I'm getting asked about, which is what should the parents of 7, 8, 9-year-olds buy? Not getting a lot of questions around here for teenagers or adults. So this is going to be really focused on what are good blasters for beginners, for kids who love Nerf, and what's easy for them to use and play with, and what is most likely to not end up on Facebook Marketplace and sold back to me. I'm sure as we go through it, a lot of you will be like, what about this blaster? What about that blaster? This list is only about things that you can buy online and get here in time for Christmas from Walmart in Canada, Toys R Us in Canada, or Amazon in Canada. Or of course you can go to those stores. Selection is pretty limited this time of year where I am. So I wanted to give you time for shipping. So if something's not here and it's a great blaster, for example, I really wanted to put the Adventure Force Spectrum on as one of my favorite and only flywheelers I was going to suggest for kids. And you can't buy it anywhere right now, so it's not on my list. So if something's missing, leave a comment, tell me why you love it, so that other people or parents might go through and see it, and maybe they'll find one of it, and that'll be great. So prove me wrong, well, not wrong, add to my list. Happy to hear about it. I've gone back in time. This is an insert from later in the video. I want to give you parents a quick speed reference guide. This disruptor fires darts at about 70 feet per second. Not super intimidating, doesn't hurt very much. A good smaller kid blaster. Ultra blasters tend to fire in the high 90s to 100. Rivals in that same ballpark of 100 feet per second. Blasters like the Aeon Pro, they go way above 100 feet per second. Not way, I mean, you'll be fine if you get hit by one. You want to wear eye protection with any of these blasters that are up. Well, actually, you want to wear eye protection with any of these blasters. Just throw in a pair of safety goggles. It's really a good idea. Kids do get hurt playing with Nerf. All right, let's get going with number 1. I don't know if we can start any list without talking about, if we're getting new Nerfers into it, without talking about Jolts. Jolts are easy to prime, easy to use. They come in a whole bunch of different form factors. There's a whole bunch of reskins. All those little Fortnite blasters you see with a handle like this, those are all essentially Jolts, just 3 times as much. I recommend for stocking stuffers, get the whole family some Jolts, or get them some Microshots from X-Shot that kind of work better than a Jolt, or get them some other single shot or get them some other little inexpensive single shot blasters. And I'm going to lump this in with the Jolts as well. This is a single shot blaster, has a prime on the back, easy to prime, a little bit better performance than a Jolt, has a little faux laser on it. This is kind of a cool little blaster, and again, it's in that single shot, $10-ish range, a good option. And this little Dino Strike one, again, another single shot, a T-prime on the back that's pretty easy to handle, and pretty good performance. Better performance than a Jolt, a bit more expensive. So, whether it's Jolts, or this single shot Dino Blaster, or this single shot Elite 2.0. There's not many Elite 2.0 I would recommend, but this one's okay. See what I mean? This is why I can't do a top 10 list. Number 1 had like 7 or 8 blasters in it, but they all have in common that they're little single shot inexpensive blasters. 2 on my list are blasters like the Nerf Trio. They're one step up from Jolts. You know, this one you can put 3 darts in, you pull easy to prime handle in the bottom, and each time you pull that and fire, it fires 1 dart. There's a few other options that are kind of like this. This Adventure Force Equalizer set is the same type of thing. You put 4 darts in, prime it, fire each time. Super inexpensive. I think this is only $12 or so. The Trio is under $10. These are really good to get for kids who are just getting into it or are younger, and they're inexpensive enough that you can kind of get some for the whole family, and that's really fun. I did mention before, Jolts are only like $5. I would have mentioned the Nerf Triad, which is basically what this Adventure Force blaster is similar to. But here's another, in that same realm. You put 3 in. Every time you prime it and pull this T-pull, that's easy to do, it fires. The performance is actually pretty good for these little pocket emergency blasters, but these are a great starter, and they're so inexpensive that if kids eventually don't play with them, it's not as big a deal. You can hand them off. One more honorable mention in the little kind of micro class that's one step above the Jolt, this little X-Shot blaster. You can get these at Walmart or Canadian Tire. I think you can get them lots of places. These have a really easy to prime. These are great for kids because they're not hard for them to prime and fire. And number three is what I think is one of the best class of Nerf blasters. Blasters with a rotating cylinder that have a capacity of 6 or so, are easy to prime, and just make a great sidearm. Like the Disruptor. This is one of my favorite ones. I have like 35 of these. They're so great for a Nerf war. They're easy to operate. You can put 6 in them. My kids have always loved these and strong arms. And there's some other variants of that blaster that are just as good. Some might even say better. This X-Shot 6 something. Again, I'm sorry, I'll have a link. There's just so many. I just recently started kind of getting into X-Shot blasters because I've drifted out of Nerf into Adventure Force and X-Shot. This blaster loads 6 in the front. Easy to pull in the back. This is such a great blaster for kids as well. Highly recommend this one or the Disruptor. While we're talking about blasters that fire 6 shots and load in the front, I do also want to point out the Hammershot. This one's one of my favorites. You load darts in the front just like the Disruptor and the X-Shot something 6. I feel so bad. I can't look it up because my phone's recording. I'll put a note in. I'm sorry, X-Shot. Not that you're watching. The Hammershot, you prime this with your thumb, or if you're younger, you can use a second finger to do that. I would say the performance is maybe a tiny bit less than the other 2 I showed you, but you can dual wield this one. You could have 2 of them and prime them and feel like a cowboy. And plus, I think this blaster just looks really neat. There's a new Fortnite hammer prime blaster like this, the SH6 or 6SH. I don't like it as much as this one. There's other hammer primes out there too, but again, I can't talk about everything. This one's one of my favorite, and you have a little bit more capacity than those single shot or that 3 shot that I showed you, or the 4 shot. You have 6 shots. Math. This blaster is one of my favorites, and I think even after a kid kind of grows out of Nerf, if they do, sadly, some do, this one's just a cool one to have on their wall or have it looks cool. I think this one lasts. And before we move on from those load in the front blasters that I was talking about, this one is really cool. This is a D&D themed, dragon themed blaster. It has a pump action too. The performance is really good. This one holds 8 too, so it's still in that load darts in the front, has a cylinder, but this one's cool. This one, if you are looking for a bigger blaster, it's a little bit more expensive. You would want to get it on sale. It's been on sale very recently for $36. It's a pretty good blaster for that. This actually is kind of getting into that they can shoulder it. This is feeling like a bigger gift if you want something that feels like a bigger gift. Number 4, let's talk about drums. I didn't put the Adventure Force Dart Zone Villainator on here because I think the Prime is a little too tough for kids. At a couple parties I've ran, it didn't do as well. This Adventure Force blaster though, the Super Drum, and there's an X-Shot equivalent as well. I'll put links to both of those. This is a easy to prime blaster because it has that pump grip. You can throw 40 darts in this one. So high capacity. This again, not super expensive. This one's under $30 and it holds a lot of darts. This is a really neat one for kids. Again, if you want them to feel like they're getting something a little bit bigger as a gift. I gravitate towards the smaller ones, but then I like the idea of buying multiples, or as parents, buy some to play with the kids. If you want Nerf to last longer, or, get some exercise, have a good time. Number 5. Number 5 is if you actually want to graduate to something that has a clip in it. I do know the kids do love the feeling of being able to load a clip. A blaster like this, you can put a stock on it. You can put a barrel on it. This is a Recon Mark II. You can actually get on Amazon right now for like 35 bucks a Recon Mark III, which is basically just a slightly updated version of this. It comes with a few cool attachments like barrel attachments and stock attachments and a shield thing. This is a lot of fun. You can put a bunch of darts in. You can put in bigger clips. It is fun. It feels a little bit more real, I guess. You know, this one can be a cool one for kids as opposed to like a big dragon themed one. Kind of depends on the age and what they're into. But this is a cool blaster. One thing to remember, one thing I'll always say, barrel attachments might look like fun, but they will kill the performance of a blaster. If you use it like this, or you put the stock on it, it'll work great. As soon as you put the barrel attachment on it, the performance will go from 70 or so down to like maybe mid 50s. So it's a good way to turn your Nerf blaster into a turd. But the kids love putting barrel attachments on, and so do lots of people for some reason. I do not. I'm going to give an onshore honorable mention to the Zesty. The Zesty kind of works the same way. You prime it up here to fire. It has barrel attachments as well, but it looks really neat. Don't buy this full price though. This is super overpriced. It's like 50 bucks. If you get it on sale like I did, it was like 30. I have found though, with a lot of the Fortnite blasters, I kind of like them. I like the profile of them. I find it has a narrow window of appeal. For the kids, I would almost go with more classic Nerf looking stuff, but that's my opinion. This is number 6. And we were just talking about, you know, if you want clips and magazines and things that look a little bit more tactical and cool, you could do a bit of an upgrade to the Aeon Pro. I was hesitant to even mention this one because this one hits pretty hard. This is giving a kid something that if they like target practice and plinking, this fires darts twice as fast as a regular Nerf blaster. It's a little bit harder to prime, so if you're getting this for a kid, make sure they're a bit of a stronger kid. It's like 30 bucks though. It uses short darts that it comes with or regular darts and fires them a lot farther and harder. So this is kind of, if a kid's really getting into Nerf, this can be a good place to go. I would not recommend this as a first thing. I definitely would want a kid to be over 10. It almost didn't make the list, but I don't know how it can not include at least one kind of next level blaster in here. Okay, I can't mention the Aeon Pro, but that really quickly, talking about the Nexus Pro. If your kid's really into Nerf, you know, they're a strong kid. You don't think they'll have any problem. The Nexus Pro is a blaster that will let them shoot targets that are far away and have a lot of fun. It's actually a little easier to operate in some ways than the smaller Aeon Pro because it has this pump grip. But there's some nuances to using this. This is not for a little kid. They have to be, I would say they have to be at least over 10. But anyway, I hesitantly mention it. They're so good. They're such an inexpensive way to get into kind of a next level. Like if you ever were somewhere where you're going to a Nerf event or anything, you can buy these off the shelf and go into that event and really have fun playing against the people who are modding their blasters and doing a lot of things to them. So that's pretty cool. This guy is around, 70, 80 Canadian. So you're getting into a bigger thing, and you don't want smaller kids hitting each other inside of the house with this either. It hurts too much. So this one is a very cautious recommend for younger kids. I just mentioned it in case you're looking for something a level up, or if you see them at Walmart or somewhere like that and you're like, oh, I'll get this. Just be wary that, they're strong. Speaking of next level blasters, for number 7, I did want to have at least one flywheeler on the list. I did a big video about flywheelers. I really like them personally. I have lots of them, especially the rival ones work really great. But again, this list is more targeted at younger kids starting out. Rival hits a little harder. It's all a bit more expensive. I don't think that's a great place for kids to start, especially with the bigger ones. Even if you're looking to buy them a great big gift, it's a lot, unless they're already in a Nerf and they're looking for a next level up. That's a totally different thing. This is more beginners, or they've had a couple jolts or something and you want to get them something bigger or better. But this Adventure Force Spectrum if you can find them, is very, very good. It's one of the only stock flywheelers without being modded that I would recommend. It's like 30 bucks. It fires darts very, very well, you know, as well as a Springer. Better than some Springers. This is a great flywheel blaster. Put fresh batteries in. Please, please don't use generic, no-name batteries. They don't work well. Just put in a good set. They'll last quite a while, I promise. If you can't find this one, and if I had to recommend a flywheeler, then hey, you could get a Strife. This is one of the most popular flywheel Nerf blasters. Modders have been modding this forever, but even unmodded, this one is not too bad. It's semi-automatic. Any of these automatic blasters, that just means you're revving up a trigger, and then you're revving this bottom rev trigger, and then you're pulling your main trigger to fire. If you fire too quickly, performance takes a big dip. Obviously, batteries wear out. I don't recommend these unless a kid really knows what they're getting into or wants to try one. And if they want to try one, this is a good, inexpensive place to go. But I would recommend this after the Spectrum. Number 8. I can't believe I'm going to do it. I am going to mention a couple Ultra Blasters. Not anything with flywheels. But you know what? This little Ultra 4 blaster, it's a single shot blaster. I would have had it in with my single shots at the very beginning, but it fires a bit too hard for that to be kind of a small beginner stocking stuffer one. Do not buy this new at full price. It's like $20-some. That would be crazy. This goes on sale all the time for like $7, $8. For that much, buy a little stack of them, and this is a great blaster for family wars. It does fire ultra darts. It means different darts. But it's a good little blaster for the money if you can get it on sale. And also, the Ultra 5, I will grudgingly say, works pretty well. It's pretty easy to prime. It is a little bit weird to put darts in. It's kind of like the Nexus Pro and the Aeon Pro. For really little kids, I have a harder time recommending it. As this list has gone on, we're getting into kind of fringe territory. If your kids are really at the point where they're more, they've had the other blasters and they're looking for kind of a next step up to try or something different, that's kind of what these blasters later in the list are for. Number 9, I can't go through a list like this without mentioning Rival. The Rival Knockout is the blaster that got me into Nerf. It is a single shot blaster. I again didn't put it in with my single shots at the start, even though this is like a $10 usually on sale right now blaster. It fires round Rival balls. They hit a little harder than regular ones. Again, for really little kids, you kind of have to be careful. They might not like being hit by them as much. My kids didn't really like getting hit by them a whole lot when we first started, but they got used to it. This is a really good blaster. It hits a little harder. It's another one that if they've had blasters like this, or they've had blasters like this, or other little, I didn't even mention this one. If they have other little single shot ones, or they've had a Retaliator, or a Recon, or a Disruptor, this is a great next step. And this is a good one to get to see if they like it. Then you can go from the Nerf wall. There's crazy things up there that are super fun and obviously that I love, but they would be insane to just blindly get a kid if you didn't know if they were going to stay into it or didn't have a lot of other friends into it. I'm trying to make this list simple. I don't think I'm doing a good job. If I'm talking about Rival, another Rival blaster that's a great beginner Rival blaster is the Takedown. The Takedown holds 6. It's pump action, so it's a little easier, even if they are a bit younger. This one actually it's hollow. I have it hollowed out because I am working on another project. I needed it spring. Sorry, Takedown. This is another good one. It's inexpensive. It's like a Black Friday deal right now at Toys R Us, I think. So it's like $22. This is a great little blaster for that. And again, it hits a little harder. It's kind of a good next step to Nerf, but it's not as... This is in between. If this is 100 feet per second, this is 140 feet per second. And, you know, this is 70 feet per second. So there's definitely a tier. I should put that at the start. Where people might actually see it. I'll do that after. I'm at the end of my disjointed review. My last one, number 10, for what I think you could do for a kid for Christmas, or a bigger kid, or maybe an adult who really enjoys playing Nerf with the kids. Maybe this is more of an adult reco, is get them the means to do some mods. Get them a Used Retaliator. I know people cringe at used things around Christmas time, but get them some old blasters or get them a disruptor or something like that. And then get them a spring from Amazon or Out of Darts, a 7-kilogram spring, an upgrade spring set. Very inexpensive, $10. Put that with their gift. It can be a project. They take this apart and instead of it firing 70 feet per second, now it's firing 130, maybe 140, depending on what kind of spring you put in. When they're playing with the kids, they can terrorize them with their more powerful weapon. Or, while we're talking about modding, buy them a whole kit for a Jupiter from Out of Darts. This is more for an adult, or it's a good project for a kid and an adult to do together. I built an Out of Darts Jupiter with my stepson Luke, and it was awesome. He did a lot of his own soldering in it. I taught him how to solder. It was a great little project for us. And at the end, he had a Nerf blaster that would empty a whole clip in under a second. It was just a great one to like dazzle friends and family with, as far as being a crazy thing to make. And it's really fun for adults too. That's my list. If I have a few themes for this whole list, they are as follows. Go small and inexpensive. Don't pay for really expensive, complicated blasters unless you really know what you're doing. Just don't overpay. You don't need to overpay. A lot of times those smaller blasters work as well or better than the bigger blasters. Longer barrels in Nerf mean less performance. I would kind of avoid flywheelers. Again, they just, unless you're modding them or you're going into something like Rival, they're a little underwhelming. So I just wouldn't recommend it. Stick with springers. Then you don't have to worry about batteries. Then they can play with them all the time. It's great. Get enough blasters for the whole family because you didn't spend a lot of money. Play with your kids. Make some games, make some rules, make it into an actual fun thing you do together, and they'll use them and they'll have fun with them. And maybe they'll grow into some of the bigger ones and the more expensive ones as you go. Or maybe you're 42 and you're just going to buy everything. I hope that helps. I hope if you breeze through any parts of this that you found it helpful. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. If you're wondering why I didn't mention a blaster, please ask. Maybe there's a good reason. Maybe I just don't have it. I know the X-Shot Dino series blasters, those are pretty good. I just don't have any of those, so I didn't really recommend them. But I did recommend a few X-Shot blasters for sure that are similar-ish. There's links below to all these things. There's no fancy setup thing. I get nothing for you using my links, so go peruse. Buy some things. So with that, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, Santa, for popping by. I think he's gone now. He's already taken off. He's a busy guy this time of year. It was really nice of him to pop by. Happy holiday shopping, Nerf friends. Bye-bye.